Good morning. Man, you're a good-looking group. You guys scared me. You got up and moving. I thought they're leaving already, and I haven't even said anything. I was going, this is going downhill quickly. I mean, right? It's like, at least wait for a couple of my lame jokes or something. But, well, welcome if you're worshiping here in this room. We welcome if you're in the East Venue, if you're online. Thanks for joining us. I hope that after our time together, you'll go away with something that's helpful in your walk with the Lord. I'm one of the pastors here. My name is Doug, and it's just a privilege to be able to serve alongside of you and to be a part of what God is doing in your life and here in C3. I got to tell you, I had a doppio this morning. Do you guys know what a doppio is? 2 shots of espresso. Yep, I just got to dial down now. So if I start talking too fast, somebody do this, right? Or say, Doug, chill. It usually, I do a doppio every morning. It's my morning go-to. But today, for some reason, man, it just hit me. And I'm going, okay, yeah, we can do that. Okay, we can do it. But hey, as Pastor Adam already said, we're starting a new series called Take Back Your Life. And I hope that you'll find it meaningful and helpful. And as you wait for that to happen, go Huskies. Yes. Yeah. Come on. Hey, even if you're a Cougar fan, you get on the bandwagon for at least this week, right? Come on. It's all about Washington. No, oh, I see a hard no in the back. They're already getting up and leaving, I'm telling you. Hey, I hope the holiday season was special for you. And it's all about New Year's resolutions. We always hear about New Year's resolutions, and people always, make them and break them. And so did you hear the one about the husband who at breakfast was telling his wife about his New Year's resolution? He informed her, hey, my New Year's resolution is to stop telling you what to do all the time. Relieved all over her face. She's going, this could be a great year. Then he pushed a piece of paper over to her head and said, and yours, I already wrote down for you. Or the friend over coffee who said, hey, my New Year's resolution is to stop putting my foot in my mouth so often. I bet yours is to lose weight. Ooh. Ouch. That a long ways to go on that one. Or the wife who told her husband as they worked through their resolutions, my resolution this year is to be less controlling. You should write that down. Oh, no, bigger. All right, I know. Like I said, lame jokes, but that's part of the package you get. When you see me coming up, just be ready. That's just, I got to get out of my system. My wife already goes, when I start to say them at home, so I got to save them for you guys. But hey, New Year's resolutions. We all make them. Millions do. Do you know that they say only 9% of the resolutions that are made are actually kept? 23% of us quit in the first week of having made our resolutions. 43% stop keeping their resolutions by the end of January. So the question I have is why do we make resolutions every year if we know we're going to break them? Well, it's because we hope that this year will be different. We hope that this year will be better. Hope. What an intriguing, seemingly elusive item. Think about kids. When you watch them play in the playgrounds and when you see them in pictures, their eyes are just full of hope and sparkle and they're lost in the moment. They're carefree and you hear them saying, I want to be a fireman. I'm going to be an astronaut. I mean, hope abounds. They are so full of hope. It is amazing to watch kids play. Contrast that with adults. You begin seeing hurt. You begin seeing disappointment. You begin seeing uncertainty. You begin seeing hopelessness. And you can't help but ask yourself, what happened? What happened between the childhood hopefulness that we had and as adults when we go through life we start just hardly making it? What goes on? Well, life. Life happens. We all know it. We've experienced it. Results of decisions we've made, sometimes poorly made. Circumstances that are beyond our control, the hits we've taken, disappointments. possibly abuse that we've suffered. All that begins to take its toll, and we begin to lose hope. Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychologist who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, which I highly recommend, it's a classic. He studied World War II concentration camp survivors. He wanted to figure out why, given the same situation, the same circumstances, the meager diet, the terrible everything, the atmosphere that they had to walk through, why was it that some survived and others didn't? He came away and discovered that, hey, they didn't think anything would change. They felt their existence didn't have meaning. They gave up because they lost hope. A couple months ago, I shared with you a little glimpse into my life of what I went through. And there was a moment when I lost hope. I was on the corner, downtown Phoenix, and I wanted to step off the curb into traffic. I so wanted to do that. That's when I realized I needed help. But I was hopeless. Have you been there? If you search back into the channels of your life, have you experienced that moment when you were hopeless? Maybe you're there now. Maybe you're sitting here, Doug, today, and you're saying, Doug, I'm not feeling any hope. This morning, if you're sitting in here and you feel like nothing will ever change, that there isn't any meaning for your existence in life, I want you to know that you can find hope and you can take back your life. Frankl concluded, this I quote, "Hope is the effect or the result of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself. It is the byproduct of one's surrender to a cause other than oneself." What's incredible about Frankl, he's not a believer, but he discovered what God had already established when God says, hey, when we commit to someone, him, and to something, his church, which is greater than ourselves, we find hope. You see, that is the hope that the Bible speaks of in Romans chapter 15:13 when it says, may the God of hope fill you with joy and peace. Need a little bit of that? As you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. That verse tells us that God is hope. He doesn't just peddle in hope. He doesn't dangle hope. His very existence is hope. It's one of his names. It says, as we trust in him, we can experience that hope. We're going to come back and visit that phrase a little bit more later. But the key thought is there, see the promise? That you may overflow with hope. I want that. Do you want that? We live in a world that is hopeless. We have a world that definitely needs some of that hope. I need and want to overflow with that hope. Jeremiah 29:11 goes on to say, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That's the hope that God offers today. His hope will fill us with joy, with peace, with a future worth living. So the question this morning I have for you is, where have you placed your hope? Have you placed it elsewhere? Maybe you've placed it in, man, if I just get enough money, if I can just get more in the bank, if I get more in my 401k, if I get more, or maybe it's possessions. I just need that bigger house, or I need that bigger boat, or I need that beautiful car. Or if I can just get that position, then I'll be filled with hope. How's that going for you? If we were to be honest with ourselves, we go from one item to another, seeking that hope, believing that if we just get there, everything will come together. My purpose will be sealed, and I'll be sailing free. So the question is, if we keep coming up hopeless, how do we experience the hope that the Bible speaks of? If you are here this morning and you're feeling hopeless, or potentially you know someone who is, I would like to encourage you, I would like to invite you to consider making 2 commitments. The first commitment, obviously this is a church, you would expect me to say this is commit to God. Any commitment to God begins with honest communication. I think sometimes that's where we fail in making that step of saying, hey, I'm going to make this commitment with God, but I'm not going to tell him what I'm really feeling, what I'm really thinking. Maybe you can identify with the psalmist as you process the idea of committing to God when the psalmist says, oh Lord, where is the love you have always shown and that you promise so faithfully to me? Interestingly, we read this and we kind of clean it up, don't we? And we go, oh, what a nice little question. No, that's not what's going on here. The psalmist is saying, hey God, where is that love that you promised? Where is that thing that you said you would deliver? What's the deal, dude? Where are you at? That's what the psalmist is saying. I invite you to ask God, why? He's a big boy. He can handle your questions. He can handle your doubts, your insinuations. He can even handle your victim mentality, because you can go at him with a chip on his shoulder. Because the funny thing is, he already knows you have the chip. He's waiting for you to admit it. There's a phrase I like to call you pull a Nancy Kerrigan. How many remember her way back in the day, Nancy Kerrigan? Right? Some of us older folks, some of you younger girls are going, what? I just lost you. Stick with me. So Nancy Kerrigan was this. She was a figure skater, right? Olympian. And she and Tanya Harding were just like competitive, like this. One time, Nancy came off the ice, and some hooligan just starts banging on her landing leg with a police baton. Just wham, wham. At the time, no one knew what was going on. It wasn't saying, he was just hitting on her. The camera showed it. Do you remember what Nancy did in that moment? It's on tape. She said, why? Why me? She didn't say, ouch, which is what I think would be the obvious thing to say. One's hitting my leg with a police baton. No, she said, why? Why me? She pulled a Nancy Kerrigan. And we can do that with God. God, why me? It's okay, because you're already feeling that. And God knows you're feeling, you're already thinking that. So just say, God, that's what the psalmist did. Hey, God, where are you? He pulled a Nancy Kerrigan. You don't believe me. You say, oh, Doug, that's kind of a stretch. No. Did you realize that more than half of the Psalms are laments? Do you realize there's a whole book in the Bible called Lamentations? The whole book is about why, God? Where are you, God? How are you going to get me out of this, God? There's a book. David, who was the psalmist, is called a man after God's own heart. God did not exclude him because he asked why. I would invite you, when you ask why, listen for the answer. And then commit to him. You see, he's the creator of everything. He's the author and the finisher of our faith. He's the one that holds all things in his hands. And so when we ask him why, he wants to reveal and give you the why. He wants to show you his purpose. He wants to show you the steps he wants to walk you through. Can I invite you to be open to his answer and commit to his answer? Remember earlier we said Romans 15:13 says, as you trust in him, he's the God of hope. As you trust in him, he will fill you with hope. Often we will ask God why. He might give us the answer and we'll go, well, Okay, God, obviously you're clueless. God, you don't know what you're talking about. Or maybe tomorrow, God, and that's not how it works. Scripture says, as I trust in him, as I commit to him, then I will experience true hope. Not a temporary hope that comes with a possession or position or popularity, but true hope that will help me through any and every situation in which I find myself. As you commit to him with an honest heart, I guarantee you will begin to feel a heart shift. You'll go from the Nancy Kerrigan whiny why me, God, to the God, I don't get this. I don't understand it, but I'm yours. Show me, teach me, lead me, because you know all things. You know the beginning from the end. You have my best in mind, and where I am to where you want me to be, you're taking me through this for a purpose. There's a line I like to say, hey, God knows your phone number. God didn't put you out there and then forget where you're at. No, he knows what you're going through. Dial him up. He's wanting to talk to you. As the author of Romans says, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. Jeremiah 17:7 says, it promises us, blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. Probably not you, but maybe. Do you want to be blessed? Oh, of course you do. There's a solution. Blessed is the person who puts their hope, puts their trust in God. Blessed. Do you wonder why you're going through life frustrating because you're doing things on your own and saying, well, God, I've got time for you maybe next week, or I'll do this much of what you want, but the rest I've got under control? To be blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. The second thing I would encourage us to do, a commitment, is commit to his church. You see, boy, us Americans, we love being independent. We love just being us, and we drive in our house and the garage door closes and we're all there and we got all self-contained. We don't need anybody. But I got to tell you, friends, we're not meant to live in isolation. We are meant to live in community. God intends for us. That's how he created us. What does that look like? What does that look like to live in community? Well, instead of withdrawing from everything and everyone, which is our tendency when we go through hard times, right? Oh, you know what? I'm going through a hard time. I need to kind of isolate because I can't let anybody know that I don't have it all together. That's our tendency. Instead of withdrawing, recognize the importance and the power of connection and encouragement. Well, how do you do that? Well, here's some simple steps I'm going to show you on the screen. Just simple things. Scribble them down. Maybe you don't need them. Maybe you know somebody that does them, but maybe you'll need them in the future. For the first step is friendships. Start reaching out to those who have been reaching out to you if you're going through a tough time. Find activities or times where you can include others. If you find yourself living an isolated lifestyle as you wrestle with that challenge, that hopeless situation you're going through, reach out. Food. What does food have to do with this? Well, if you find yourself dining by yourself, invite someone to join you. These are simple things, but in our culture, we tend to not do them, and then we suffer the consequences. Invite someone to join you, to eat with you. Might I encourage you to also please eat healthily? Just a side thought. Food. What about fun? If you find yourself not doing fun outings, you sit at home on your couch and all you're doing is click, 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 click. Invite someone to go do something with you. Go bike. Go to the movies. Play board games. Schedule something fun. God created you to enjoy life. Do something that's enjoyable and do it with someone else. Gather. Pastor Adam already alluded to it. Hey, gather. Gather with the church. We're here on a Sunday morning. We love it, but this isn't everything. You can sit here and still leave a bit lonely because very rarely do you reach over to the neighbor and say, hey, my name's Doug. What's your name? So even in this room, sometimes we tend to live an isolated existence. Can I encourage you, number one, start reaching out to the people on your left and right and behind and front. But on top of that, join a life group. Join a life group. We have dozens of them. And guess what? They are filled with people just like you. Just as imperfect as you, wrestling with the same issues that you are wrestling with. And inside of those life groups, you'll hear about God's hand at work in the lives of the other members of those life groups. And you'll find encouragement in that as they express, hey, I was where you were at, and God saw me through, and he helped me. Stay with it. Let me give you some insight. Let's go have some fun together. Let's go eat together. Let's gather together. You will find wisdom and support. Next, discover your purpose. Discover your purpose. If you're going through life and you're wondering, why am I here? Find out why. Volunteer here at church. Volunteer at a nonprofit. See, we are designed to serve. Did you know that? We're not designed to be selfish. That's not God how created. He created us to be generous with our energies, with our talents, with our possessions. And so find your purpose and start volunteering. You go, that's my niche right there. Whatever it is, it's for you, it's going to be something different than it is for someone else. But discover your purpose. And lastly, if you're going through a hopeless situation and it's dark and it's black and you're going, I can't see my way out. I don't know what to do next. I'm desperate. Get professional help. God has gifted individuals to be able to help us through difficult times. Here we have a thing called C3 counseling. My goodness, friends, don't be so full of pride that you're not willing to reach out and say, I need help. I've been to counseling. Most of us in this room have benefited from that gifting that God has given people in the body. Reach out and find that help. So in conclusion, you may be sitting here and you're going, hey, Doug, nice sermon. Lame jokes, nice sermon, but I'm not feeling hopeless right now. Well, you know what your role is? To be a beacon of hope to those who are hopeless right now. Barna, one of the premier research organizations in the United States, tells us this: 77% of the U.S. adults believe in a God and a higher power. Okay, that's a starter. 74% would like to grow spiritually. 44% are more open to God today than before the pandemic. So if you're sitting here and say, God, you're saying, Doug, I'm with you on all that. Everything you said, I'm doing. I'm hope-filled. I'm trusting the Lord. Be a beacon of hope, because we are surrounded by a world that believes there's a God, believes there's a higher power, wants to grow a little bit more, but they don't know how. They don't know where. They don't know when. This is our opportunity. It doesn't mean we have all the answers. You go, but I didn't go to Bible school, or I missed that day at church. I don't know how to express all. Share your story. Share your story. Hey, friend, I know you're going through a tough situation. Can I tell you a little bit about what God has done in my life when a situation I was going through is similar to what you're going through, and I gave my heart, my life to God, and He gave me purpose. And He showed me that He was with me as I went through this situation. Be that beacon of hope. You may be sitting here and you may be feeling hopeless. I'm sorry. It's not a good feeling. It's a terrible feeling to feel hopeless. Dr. Martin Seligman did a study on hopelessness. Hang with me here because you might go, whoa. Did a study on hopelessness. It was a two-part study. And part number one, he used these two dogs, and he put them each in their own kennel. And he hooked them up with electrodes, and so they could receive shocks. And one of the dogs, he gave them an option of something they could do to make the shock stop. It was a lever. They just had to hit this lever, and the shocks would stop. The other one, he didn't give that option to. The dog with the option quickly exercised the option, the shock stopped, and the dog was fine. The dog that didn't have the option went and curled up in a corner of his kennel and just endured the ongoing disabling shocks. They came regularly. Part two of the study, Dr. Seligman put both dogs in their pen again. This time he gave both of them the option, showed them how to stop the shocks. The first one promptly pulled on the lever and stopped the shocks. The second one, although hope was within reach, went to the corner, curled up in a kennel, and kept enduring those shocks. The second dog succumbed to the hopelessness even though hope was within reach. The question I have for you today, are you curled up in the corner of your kennel? Are you locked inside a mental, spiritual, or emotional prison? Can I gently, lovingly, humbly, boldly invite you to put your hope in God? Commit to God. Commit to His church. Now I gotta put an asterisk here. I'm not talking about an absence of challenges. Don't get me wrong. When you surrender to the Father, it doesn't mean, oh, life's a fantasy. There's still going to be challenges. I'm talking about the hope you'll have as you go through these challenges. Case in point, Horatio Spafford, who was a businessman who lived in the Midwest, very successful lawyer with a lovely family. He had a wife and 5 children, lost his young son to pneumonia. Shortly after that, his wife and 4 daughters were on a cruise, and the ship went down, and he lost all 4 of his daughters. Can't imagine the heartbreak. Can't imagine that situation. Spafford raced to reach his wife. And as he passed over the site where his daughters had perished, he wrote a song which is a truth and is a classic. It is well with my soul. When peace like a river attends my way, or when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it's well. It's well with my soul. As we daily trust in God, we can agree with the Apostle Paul and understand the truth that says, being confident in this, he who began a good work in you, in me, will be faithful to perfect it until the day of Christ Jesus. He hasn't forgotten you. He knows where you're at. He's at work in your life. He's conforming you to His likeness. As you trust in Him, you can have the hope of knowing He's with you. He will see you through. You will one day see the purpose as you trust in Him. God bless you.